A couple of months ago, I did a video called Things a Filipino Fears When Dating a Foreigner, which got some good discussions happening in the comments section of that video. And there were some very interesting comments from Filipinas who were directly conveying their own fears in such a relationship with a foreign man, especially around moving to his country. And it's certainly always good to hear from the Filipinas in our community to get their own views around the many topics we talk about, which I truly do appreciate. In this video, I'll go through more things a Filipino fears when dating a foreigner, based around what our valued community members have told us from a Filipina's perspective. So be sure to stay with me here. First up, I want to thank Single Bells, who gave us a good list of her fears in dating a foreigner when the time may come to leave her family, friends and country to embark on a new life overseas. The first thing that she stated was the fear of not being able to assimilate when brought to another country. Now, of course, this must weigh very heavily on a Filipina's mind. One must remember that many Filipinas, when they go abroad to be with their foreign boyfriend, fiancé or husband, have never been outside their own province, let alone travelling across vast oceans to start a new life in a new country where she only knows the man that she's with. And really, someone like myself can't possibly ever even imagine how terrifying this must be, and the thoughts that must race through her mind. No doubt that she would be excited to start a new life with the man she loves, but there are many unknowns for her, and only time, love and care will alleviate these fears as time goes by. The next fear Single Bells was saying, and I quote, is the fear of being abandoned. Literally, I'm in a foreign country and maybe not even a citizen yet, and the guy I trusted my life with would just leave me or wouldn't help me with the visa process. So finding out before she's a citizen that the relationship is not going to work out, maybe he's decided it's not for him, and then what is she left to do in a foreign country where she really doesn't know the processes around visas or know where to seek the assistance needed to get through such a hard time? Would she need to return again to the Philippines, or would she somehow be able to stay in a new country? And this really shows great insight by Single Bells here to be thinking ahead and understanding what can happen in such relationships. Again, it would be certainly a terrifying experience for anyone to have to go through in a foreign country. My advice for those Filipinas who sadly find themselves in this position would be firstly seek out a local Filipino community. Most towns and cities worldwide have such communities who are made up of Filipino expats, some of whom have been in that country for many years and will know all the processes, assistance and options available in that particular country. And then going on a little more from that, Single Bells mentions talking about fiancé and tourist visas, so I'll end up illegal with a question mark, so something weighing heavily on her mind. So I guess she fears that because the visa she's on may be retracted if she's no longer with the man who has brought her to his country, because the visa may not have been finalised, or they may not have met the conditions of that visa simply by not being a couple any longer. She's concerned about getting in trouble with the law in that country and becoming illegal and possibly being deported. And again, I can certainly understand why this may be a very big fear for many Filipinas. Now, I don't know about other countries, but here in Australia, I've known of Filipinas who have been in similar positions where they were allowed to stay even though their partner visa was never finalised. But even then, I would assume that this is a case-by-case basis and a country-by-country basis. The next fear that she mentions, to me, is absolutely huge, and I'm sure will weigh heavily on many Filipinas' minds as they prepare to go to a new country. And what she says is rather powerful, and that is The fear of being an outcast because the guy's family and extended family wouldn't accept me. When I read that, it really hit home because I've seen what can happen when a family member or family members don't accept the Filipina. Sadly, some people have all these stereotypes running around in their mind about a Filipina and why they're marrying someone in a foreign country. Simply, some family members may not, for whatever reasons they have in their head, accept the Filipina. Perhaps there's some jealousy in there as well from adult children, for example, who may think she's only after dad's money, or they may not even get their inheritance. Who really knows what they're thinking? But when a Filipina comes to a new country where she knows no one, and to be hit from her partner's family like this can be absolutely shocking to the Filipina, and it can make her feel so vulnerable in a foreign country and will take much strength to move past this. The next fear she mentions is the fear of not meeting his expectations, and in brackets she writes, I wonder what those are. So it sounds like to me that she may fear that she won't live up to what his expectations are of her, and she really doesn't know at this point what those expectations are. We must remember here that many Filipinas who go to be with a man in another country may not really know the man all that well. You can only get to know each other so much over a computer screen, and perhaps the man has visited her once or twice in the Philippines where they've mainly enjoyed being together rather than talking about things like expectations and what her life will be like in her new country. So a key point here is that the man really needs to lay out what his expectations are before she agrees to come to your country, which I'm sure most of you guys already do. So I wonder if this is more around the fact that some Filipinas may be lacking in confidence somewhat that she'll be a good enough partner or wife for the man, which to me is very understandable. After all this is new to her. Dating a man from another country and moving abroad are two huge things with many unknowns for the Filipina. Single Bells then goes on to say, which would lead to this next one, and that is the fear of not making him happy and him leaving me for another woman. And she jokes, I would probably kill him. But all jokes aside, again, a fear very real for many Filipinas. We all know about how high the divorce rate is in some countries, so clearly it's no secret that many couples are always splitting up. And likewise, it's no secret that many of these relationships fail because of infidelity or someone in the relationship finding another person and leaving. And I do think this is equally a fear for many foreign men as well who bring their Filipina to their country. Because time and time again I've heard guys say never bring her to your country because she'll race off with another man, most likely a younger guy. But the main difference here would be, for the man at least, he's in his own country with all the support he needs and he knows where to find it. The next fear Single Bells mentions is something I do hear many foreign guys say, and they absolutely believe it. So it's no wonder they project this fear onto Filipinas who read or hear what they say on YouTube, and what she says is, the fear that he would resent my closeness to my family in the Philippines and he would see it as competition for my affection, which is absurd. And yes, Single Bells, I'm glad you said which is absurd, because it totally is absurd. There is nothing wrong with a Filipina being close to a family, and in fact, it should be seen as a very positive trait in her. But some guys, whether it's jealousy or whatever, I don't know, seem to think that they will now be in competition with the Filipina's family for her love and affection like it's some contest. To me, and I'll call a spade here, this is immaturity at the highest level, or baggage left over from something in their life that they've never dealt with that is so unfair on the Filipina. Simply, there are many forms of love and affection, and in many places in one's heart for everyone. As I say, this is often something guys say unfairly that project this fear needlessly onto a Filipina who already has many adjustments to make in her new life without needing to add this fear to her list. Right here, this has all come from a Filipina, and I'm 100% sure she's not alone in having these 7 fears outlined, and most likely many more when it comes to dating a foreigner. So guys, really, you need to be aware that when she does come to your country, there will be so much going on in her head, and yes, some will be naturally happiness and excitement, but also she'll have these many fears which can be very scary. And you can certainly play a big role in helping her understand her fears are just that, and they don't need to become a reality. And over time, with much love and care, and making her feel secure, she'll certainly overcome each fear. Again, a big thank you to Single Bells for giving us foreign guys a real insight into what fears you have around dating foreigners. And clearly, we can all see it's not all sunshine and rainbows. If you're looking for more valuable information and tips around creating an amazing foreigner-Filipino relationship, then be sure to check out the playlist appearing on screen now. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.